Alrighty, we are back with chapter 16 of the Transcendent series. Maybe I'll hold it up a little higher like this. Oh, there's Romeo. Alrighty, we are continuing on to chapter 16. We left off at chapter 15, where Ari was playing the guitar and singing, and Adam and his sister Jamie felt the music run through them, healing them, and now they believe her crazy story. And right now one of my dogs is missing. Took off on a little adventure. She should be able to make it back wherever she is. Alrighty, let's get going. Ari had only expected to stay for a couple days at Paradise Glades, but a couple days turned into a couple weeks, and then into a month. The three of them fell into an easy rhythm. Ari helped out with the cooking and the chores while Jamie worked on her sculptures, and Adam did odd jobs around the property. Sometimes in the afternoons, under the shade of the apple trees in the orchard, he would also teach Ari fighting and defensive skills. He was a good teacher. He wasn't too hard on her, and he didn't push her beyond her limits, but he also made sure not to be too soft as well, so that she would be strong enough to fight off a real combatant. Adam taught her how to use fulcrums and pressure points, and how to use her attacker's own weight against them, since they would most likely be bigger and stronger than her. She was a quick learner, so she was soon at a level where she was able to incapacitate an attacker long enough for her to escape and run to safety. There were cuts and bruises, but these were skills that Ari needed to master, so she pushed through the pain and did what needed to be done. She didn't like punching Adam hard enough to hurt him, so he hung up an old punching bag in the barn to toughen up her hands so she could learn how to punch harder. Adam had done some research and called in some favors from his old MP and intelligence buddies to see if they could find out anything on these suits that were after Ari. But after weeks of looking into it and trying to do a background check on Mr. Briggs, they realized that these people were ghosts. There was only one thing that seemed consistent in their research: a person known as Anaximander was rumored to run a group that covers their tracks almost flawlessly. The only bits of information they could gather were that they are a parascience group, and they seem to have infiltrated various international government agencies. Anyone who tries to get near them mysteriously disappears. You alright there, bud? Adam didn't share what he had found out with Ari, because he didn't want to scare her, but he would do everything he could to prepare her and to make sure that she would be ready if the time came for another confrontation. He vowed to himself that he would be right there beside her, every step of the way. May became June, and other than the sparring lessons, Adam kept himself and Ari in shape by running every morning around the property. They would hurdle over fences, dodge rocks, and run up and down the hills. Then, when they were sufficiently hot, sweaty, and exhausted, they would race off the small pier on the edge of the pond and into the cool embrace of the water. Jamie would stop what she was doing and come down to join them. There was an old rope swing tied to a tree branch that hung over the pond, and Ari would impress them with twists and flips as she swung off the rope into the water. She missed the dive team at school, and the rope swing was the closest thing to it. Some days, if she was beat after a morning of running and swimming, she'd take a nap in the hammock hanging between the two trees by the pier. She was almost able to convince herself that she was just spending the summer with her favorite aunt and uncle, and that she wasn't on the run from insidious people who wanted to capture her, or worse. Some nights the three of them would play poker, using Oreo cookies as the poker chips. Ari was able to master the mechanics and technique of the game, but Adam was always able to beat her. One night in frustration, she finally asked him how, and he said that her face was always giving her away. It was too expressive. Great. All that time trying to teach myself how to have a normal facial expressions to fit in, and now I have to unlearn it. So he taught her how to control her features by internalizing her thoughts and not broadcasting them on her face. As soon as she was able to perfect her poker face, she was unstoppable. Jamie quit playing, saying that she was only in it for the cookies and that she already owed Ari about 3 bags worth. Whenever the Lennox siblings had any visitors, Ari would go up in the attic when the sensor at the gate went off. One time when she was up there, she found an old book titled The Joy of Signing. Did you eat something not good? Like your sister who's missing? Kidding. The Joy of Signing. She spent the rest of the afternoon teaching herself the different signs. She surprised both Adam and Jamie when she was able to hold a whole conversation in sign language with them. No more secret conversations about me anymore. At least not in front of my face anyway. One evening in mid-June, Ari and Jamie were sitting on the back porch sipping lemonade, rocking in rocking chairs and watching a thunderstorm roll in. They were talking about anything and everything, and Jamie commented that Ari had grown at least 2 or 3 inches just since she had arrived there. Ari stretched out her legs and looked down at the pair of old sneakers on her feet that she'd found up in the attic. She had already grown out of the shoes Ruby had bought for her. Jamie had said that she would buy her a new pair, but Ari told her not to bother. The old ones she found fit fine, and she'd probably just outgrow them in a couple of months anyways. Her face had lost some of its baby fat from all the running and training she and Adam had been doing, which made her look a bit older. She had also gained some muscle tone in her arms and legs, but was still lacking the curves that would put her over the line between childhood and adolescence, which made her feel even more gangly and awkward than she had before. After an impressive roll of thunder, Jamie took another sip of her lemonade and said, "I've been thinking, if you can't remember anything before the coma, when do you celebrate your birthday? Since we didn't know when the real day was, we decided to celebrate it on the day I woke up." "And what day is that?" "June 7th, Ari said reluctantly. Jamie stood up abruptly, almost spilling her drink. Ari, you knucklehead! Ari, you knucklehead! That was 2 weeks ago. Why didn't you tell us?" she scolded. Ari shrugged her shoulders. "I don't know. It didn't seem like a big deal." Jamie looked at her in disbelief. "Not a big deal? Ari, you just turned 13. You're a teenager now. That's a huge deal." Ari shrugged again. In truth, she hadn't wanted to think about having a birthday without her family. Who knew if she even really was 13 this year? Could have been last year, or maybe not even until next year. It didn't really matter now anyway. At least that's what she tried to convince herself. "That's it. You are going to have a belated birthday party. I don't care how blasé you are about it. But no buts. You're having a party and you're going to like it," she said, pointing emphatically at Ari. "Jamie, please don't make a fuss," Ari called after her, but she was already inside making plans. A couple days passed, and Ari hoped that Jamie had forgotten about the whole birthday thing. But then one afternoon, Adam asked her to come up to the attic to help him organize some of his parents' stuff. It was fun going through all the antique treasures, family memorabilia, and old pictures of Adam and Jamie growing up. She had a good time teasing Adam about his old haircuts and fashion choices as well, much to his chagrin. I always feel like I'm saying that word wrong. Chagrin. It took all afternoon, but the place was clean and organized. They congratulated each other for a job well done, and made their way downstairs for something to eat. But as they were coming down the stairs, Ari smelled something sweet and delicious coming from the kitchen. It smelled suspiciously like birthday cake. Ari spun around to look at Adam. He tried to look innocent and keep a straight face, but he couldn't hold back the small grin curling around the corners of his mouth. "He's in on it!" With a resigned sigh, she let Adam put his hands over her eyes and guide her through the house. When they reached the dining room, he took his hands away and said, "Happy birthday, kid." The room was decorated in streamers and tissue paper flowers. Jamie stood behind a beautifully decorated 2-tiered birthday cake with a candle on top in the shape of the number 13. 12 more sparkly candles were placed around the bottom tier. Ari stood there, dumbfounded, until Jamie and Adam started singing happy birthday to her. Adam was all right, but Jamie had been right when she said she couldn't hold a tune. Ari laughed, embarrassed by the attention. When they finished singing, Jamie urged her to blow out the candles and make a wish. Ari closed her eyes and wished that there was some way she could repay them for all they had done for her. Then she opened her eyes and blew out all 13 candles. Jamie clapped her hands and brought out a small wrapped box that she had hidden under the table on one of the chairs. "Jamie, you didn't have..." Ari started, but Jamie shushed her. "I know you don't like a big fuss, but I had to give you something. Now open it." Ari smiled as she tore open the paper and lifted the lid of the gift box. Inside was a tooled leather cuff bracelet with colorful twine, small glass beads, and braided copper wire sewn into it. On top was a larger glass bead that looked like the earth surrounded by a ring of braided silver wire. On the inside was an imprinted message that read, "Grab your stars and shine. The world is yours to change." Ari's eyes misted over. "Jamie, did you make this?" Jamie smiled shyly and nodded. "Do you like it?" Ari snapped the cuff on her right wrist. She still wore Ruby's watch on her left one, and ran over to give Jamie a big hug. "I love it! Thank you so much!" Jamie hugged her back. "You're welcome, sweetheart. Happy birthday." When Ari pulled back, she admired the cuff on her wrist. "Now I have a Jamie Lennox original," she said, smiling. Adam cleared his throat. That's not all. Come with me." He led them outside into the golden light of the setting sun, towards the barn. Adam opened up the barn doors to show something covered with a tarp. He walked behind it and then removed the tarp with a dramatic swish. Ta-da! Ari's eyes widened. It was an old Kawasaki motocross bike with a black helmet perched on the seat. "Is that for me?" He nodded. "I had one when I was a kid. I got this one a while ago, thinking I could fix it up and sell it, but then you came along. I thought you might like it." He raked his hand through his hair self-consciously. "That is awesome!" Ari exclaimed. She ran over to Adam, saying thank you over and over. He scooped her up in a big hug and acknowledged her thanks. He put her down and she went over to the bike excitedly. "Can I ride it?" "Cake now, bike tomorrow," Jamie protested. Ari's eyes lit up at the thought of that delicious cake, and then she ran inside. Adam chuckled. "You didn't have to twist her arm, did you?" They both laughed and followed Ari inside. And that was the short chapter of chapter 16. I'm gonna go do another little search for my wayward dog and do some cleaning and water refilling, and then I'll come back to do chapter 17. Gosh, I wonder where she could have gone off to. Lord have mercy. It's always something. Alrighty, thank you for joining us for chapter 16, Transcendent. See you on the next one. Peace!